the one, the only Benzion. Welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun with Benzion. Today's daf is Benzion Gittin daf Nun Beis, talking about apotropos, someone who was appointed as administrator over the estate of the orphans. They inherited from their father. They're too young. They're under 18. They don't know how to manage it. He manages it for them. The Gemara talks about what exactly he's allowed to do, what he's allowed to sell. One of the things the Brisa says, towards the top of Nun Beis Manal, towards the middle, about the fourth or fifth wide line, they can't litigate on behalf of the estate. So the Gemara says, Lachov, right, defend them against someone claims their estate damaged or that estate owes them money. They can't go into litigation because they can lose money on behalf of apotropos. They can wait for the case. The case will wait till they become 18 years old. But they also can't litigate on behalf to win money. Right? So they're making a claim against someone damaged the estate. They can't litigate on behalf of them either. So the question is, why not? They can make money for them. Why shouldn't they be allowed to do it? The Gemara concedes yes. If they're only going to win, yes. But lachov v'nas lizkos they can't do. Now, what is lachov v'nas lizkos? So, let's read the article because the article basically follows Rashi's opinion. What they mean over here, lachov v'nas lizkos, the article says that administrators cannot lose even litigation which he began with the intent to win. And it matters involving the orphan's property. However, if they win the case, the judgment stands. So they could enter as litigation. This is how article interprets it. They interpret Rashi. They could enter litigation if they're probably going to win. But if they don't win the case, right? They sue someone, $1 million for damaging the orphan's estate. If they win the case, they won the $1 million. Good, the case stands. If they lose the litigation, they don't win the $1 million. So that court case doesn't stand, and when they're 18 years old, the orphans get to litigate behind them for themselves. It's hard to understand this. If you look at footnote number 22, they explain it on 52a2. Although an administrator may represent orphans in order to earn a favorable judgment for them, if he loses the case, the judgment does not stand. The SMA rules that since any unfavorable judgment against orphans is nullified, so that the opposing party can never be successful, it is inappropriate for an administrator to participate voluntarily in a litigation. If, however, the other party insists on litigating, the administrator may represent the orphan. Nevertheless, if he loses the case, the unfavorable judgment against the orphan does not stand. It's hard for me to imagine it does not stand. Why would anyone want to get into litigation with them, right? You can only lose if the administrator wins, so you lost the money, and if he doesn't win, it's batel the din. Why would anyone want to take the subpoena and come to court? So that's also not the words lachov v'nas lizkos, right? It should say Lizkos v'nischayev or something like that. Lizkos v'nischayev or Lizkos v'hissid. Lachov v'nas lizkos is talking, in my understanding, a simple explanation of the words. It means there's a case where each party has a claim against each other. Each is suing as a counter. Each litigant is suing the other one. I don't know what you call it, a counter lawsuit or something like that. He's suing him for this. And the other person's suing him for this. So in that case, like let's say someone's suing someone for they damaged me, and someone is suing for defamation, right? Now, the lawsuit on behalf of the orphans is $1 million, and the lawsuit against them it's $500,000, half of that amount. So maybe you would think the administrators can get into the litigation because they might lose the $500,000, but they stand to win a bigger profit. So that's what the Gemara is saying. You can't enter litigation over there because it could be you lose $500,000 from the estate of the orphan. You can't lose money. You'll only do things to benefit them, right? We see from this whole daf, you only do things to benefit them. But to do things which ultimately will be bad for them, right? Even if there's a chance that it'll be good for them, we don't take those chances. We don't take the chance. Even if there's better chances that you'll win the case, win $1 million, we don't take those chances. Because it's hard for me to understand that if they lose, if they're allowed to enter litigation and they lose the case, and the case is just batel, and then they get to redo the case. They can only win. It's hard for me to understand that. And I think the simple explanation of the word lachov v'nas lizkos is when it's a counter lawsuit. Each one is suing the other person. They could win more money than they can lose, but you don't enter that. You're not allowed to enter that because you could lose money. And we see a proof to this towards the bottom of the Gemara. The Gemara says, when people make transactions, they buy stuff. You're allowed to sell the produce of the Yorshin, of the Yisomim, of the orphans, in order to earn a profit. Let's say lahachil, so they can have food to eat. But sometimes we give it the power of hektish, right? Hektish only works with kesef, right? If someone does mashicha, takes their fruits and then it goes up, they can invalidate the sale because they say we only take the sale. The sale is only valid like hektish through kesef, not like regular metaltalin. But in 3 other cases, even though the Gemara says on the bottom of Benzion Aleph to the top of Benzion Beis, the Gemara says even though technically we should invoke Rav Chanila Bar Idi and give them the koach of hektish, right? We don't do that because ultimately, if we do that, they're not going to have what they need. They're not going to have the money they need. They're not going to have the payrolls they need. So it's always to their benefit, but it's practical. It has to be practical, right? Sometimes we take a loss on behalf of them, but it has to be practical, and therefore, I think the explanation, lachom v'nas lezakos, is that it doesn't make sense to enter litigation because there's a chance you're going to lose. If you can only win, why couldn't? Of course, you could enter into litigation. The question is, if you're going to lose something, it doesn't make sense logically to enter into litigation on behalf of them, even though they could win more, right? We don't give them the power of, even though we could give them the power in their dealings, in their sales, the power of hektish, like Rav Chanila Bar Idi says in certain cases. We don't always do that because it's not always beneficial to them in the end because they might need the money, they might need the fruits. They're not going to get what they need. So we have to worry about the end point, right? What's going to be at the end? And if you enter litigation where they could lose money but win more money, right? The end point is they can lose litigation, they can lose money. So that's why we don't do that. And that's, I think, the correct explanation of lachom v'nas lezakos. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.